many people have heard of Project 2025? I hope every hand in the room should go up, right?
Good morning again. It's an honor to be here, and we have to talk about an important subject that's attacking the country, but more particularly is directed at Georgia. And so I'm honored to be here as the 13th president of the Georgia State Conference to talk about a policy initiative called Project 2025. And for those that have not heard or read the 922-page mandate for leadership, it is the mandate for leadership for the next conservative president of the United States that will be implemented within the first 100 days. Some of the top line items that you need to know about is it will destroy the Department of Education. I'm going to say that again. It will destroy the Department of Education. And if you know anything about federal funds that flow down from the Department of Education, this will cripple our community. One of the things that touches me the most is it will cripple and repurpose the Office of Civil Rights in the Department of Justice. If we know anything about the rights that have been won by so many legends in this city, in this state, it is because of the DOJ, it is because of the Office of Civil Rights. They will repurpose the Office of Civil Rights to go after and deport millions upon millions of immigrants and people that want to become American citizens. No longer will it protect against discrimination. No longer will it hold police and public servants accountable when they violate the constitutional rights of everyday citizens. Project 2025 is a fascist manifesto that will destroy the fabric of the United States. And I'm not being hyperbolic. Y'all know I'm a civil rights attorney. I'm a criminal justice attorney. This is an outright assault on our democratic norms, and we must educate ourselves. Now, I know everyone cannot take time to read 922 pages. I myself have only read 500 pages of it. It is atrocious. The things that they will do to the Department of Housing and Human Services, the things that it will do to the IRS, the things that it will do to the Office of the President. It's basically a unitary presidential doctrine, meaning all power will vest in the executive branch, do whatever the executive branch wants to do. And particularly for our brothers and sisters in labor, we all know that there's a bureaucracy in Washington. We all know that there are federal workers in Washington whose sole purpose is to carry out the constitutional demands of our republic. It will gut 1/3 of all federal workers and replace them with individuals who are beholden only to the executive. I'm going to say that again. It's going to get rid of 1/3 of the federal workers. And so it's important that we understand the time that we are in right now. It's important that we come together as faith leaders, that we come together as labor, that we come together as elected officials of good conscience and push back on this. The attacks have already started in Georgia. You guys have seen the news, at least for the last week, that they are already trying to erase AP African American Studies, which because of the work of many individuals in this room, we were able to push back on. You have seen the lunacy that happened under the Gold Dome for 2.5 days with our state election board, trying to create rules where they don't have to certify. And let's be clear, Georgia law is quite clear. Only the lawmakers make the law, and the state election board can make rules, but they cannot not certify an election. But most importantly, there are individuals who continually come into our state and have lawless rallies where they call out untruths and go unchecked. This is their policy. I would not call that individual by name, but I would say that they are indicted in this county for trying to facilitate the theft of a duly instituted election. And so as the president of the Georgia State Conference of the NAACP, it is our job to defend the Constitution. It is our job to protect citizens' precious right to vote. And that's why 3 days ago, we sent notice to the Secretary of State to cease and desist another version of Project 2025, and that's the attempt to erase people's most precious right to vote through the online voter registration cancellation portal. If you have not heard about this particular portal, it allows anybody with the correct biographical information, which they also released on that same portal for about an hour, to cancel registrations. And so when we talk about Project 2025, we don't talk about it in a vacuum, because it's actually happening right now. For all of the voting rights groups and all the civil rights groups, I know Black Voters Matter and other of our partners are on the ground registering voters. But the aims of Project 2025 is to take us back to either 1950 or 1850. Whichever one of those 100 years were not good for people of color, were definitely not good for labor, were definitely not good for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so I want everyone to take some time. You can pick out a section in Project 2025, whether that's education, whether that's civil rights, whether that's the things they want to do with labor, whether that's the things that they want to do as far as implementation over the Office of Budget and Management. Read that section too, it's scary. Or talk about the things that they want to do with gutting all of what they call the entitlement programs. And for those who don't know what an entitlement program is, Social Security is an entitlement program. And so they're going to cut all of that. But we have to educate our community. This is not a time to sit on the sidelines. This is not a time to have divisive arguments about whether or not people have done enough for Black people or for labor. This is a time for us to gird up our loins like our four ancestors in this city and this state. It's time for us to be John Lewis. It's time for us to be Dr. King. It's time for us to be John Dale Johnson. It's time for us to be Coretta Scott King. These are the things that they were fighting for. They were fighting for labor rights. What do you think the March on Washington was about? Jobs and what? Justice. And so it's time for us to send a message to Washington. And that message is clear. Get your hands off our votes. Take your knee off our neck. Release the control on our ability to provide for our family, and do what we sent you up there to do. Make a brighter future for tomorrow. Project 2025 is about your children and your grandchildren. Amen. What world do you want to leave them? Right. As far as the Georgia State Conference of the NAACP, we've been doing this for 115 years. So we know how to create generational change. We are calling you in to make generational change. Because if we don't, our grandchildren are going to look back to this moment and say that our foreparents failed us. So let's do something that we've done before with labor, that we've done with elected officials of good conscience, that we've done with the clergy. Let's shake the rafters of this state and send a message to the rest of the world. Let's party like it's 2018. Let's party like it's 2020. Let's party like it's 2021. And let's party like it's 2022 by tearing up Project 2025 and creating on MLK Day a new Project 2025 by electing individuals who look just like me and look just like you. I can't call that person's name because I'm the NAACP, but y'all know we like making Black history. Thank y'all.